Yo, what is going on guys? Here in today's video, I'll be going over the top 10 best units in Grand Cross. Now, this is my opinion and how I rank them. So if you guys have your own opinion, please write down the list of your top 10 best units in Grand Cross. I'm basing this off of the JP version instead of the global version, because global version is about to catch up relatively soon or get the units that I'm going to mention, or if not already have them in the game. Okay, so the number one best unit I overall think is the best in the game is going to be Green Gother. The reason why Green Gother is such a phenomenal unit is, one, because he has the rank up, one of the two units in the game that actually can rank up cards. Ranking up cards in Grand Cross is probably the most broken thing ever. It realistically is the most broken thing ever. His other card depletes ultimate gauge by 1 or 2, and then his rank 3 depletes ultimate gauge for 2 turns by 2 orbs. He's got an ultimate that also depletes ultimate gauge by 3 or 5 if he's linked up with King. Overall, I do think Green Gother is the best in the game because also of his passive. His passive increases attack rated stats of all units with different name races by 7% each turn. So for example, if you run Green Gother, which is an unknown character, and you run like a demon and a human character, each turn for the next 5 turns, your attack related stats will be increased by 7%. So that's attack, crit damage, crit chance, everything that's got to do with attack, and he just makes any unit in the game super viable. I mean, realistically, Green Gother makes a lot of SR units viable, and that's why I think he's the best unit in the game. Number 2, now this was tough to decide between. I was going to go either the one Escanor or Goddess Elizabeth at the number 2 spot, but definitely I decided to go with the one Escanor because of his ability to one-shot one single unit turn 1. Like, he can just basically one-shot one unit turn 1. It doesn't matter who it is. Now obviously if you're running a Liz, that unit's going to get revived, but he has the capabilities of one-shotting any single unit in the game turn 1, and that is just super broken. To start off a game and be able to one-shot any single unit is just absolutely nuts. Not to mention, Escanor is good for other stuff as well, PvE content, for example raids, and he's also good in story mode. He is built to do everything. Okay, coming to number 3 spot, we have Goddess Elizabeth. Now, you guys know about the glue eater, Goddess Elizabeth. She gets in a lot of glue, man. She gets in a lot of glue. She is everywhere in the glue department. Goddess Elizabeth is an insane PvP unit as well as a PvE unit as well. You can bring her in story quest, Tower of Trials. She is a help in everything. She is a top tier SS unit in everything. She can stun. She puts up a shield which basically negates anything with a boost. For example, weak point, pierce, nothing can get through the shield. Also, she basically helps you like live an ultimate from Lost Fane, which is one of the biggest things out there. She has an insane ultimate, especially if you have a 6/6. She reflects damage you take by 120% back to the user, and not only that, she heals you by a ton of damage as well, so that also makes her kind of cracked, okay? Makes her kind of cracked. Coming in at the number 4 spot, I was having trouble deciding between Zarya and Lost Fame Meliodas, but definitely I just went with Lost Fame Meliodas because now of having the one Escanor, Zarya kind of just took one tier back on my tier list because one Escanor can just one-shot Zarya. I mean, he could still one-shot Meliodas as well, but Meliodas has that rank up passive skill that is kind of broken. If you rank up Meliodas, get him some rank 3 cards, he can still put in some devastating damage with the rank 3 AoE. With Zarya, you kind of have to rank him up or wait a few turns with Gother to have Zarya just absolutely dominate. Now Zarya can also dominate regardless of the rank up, but I do think LV Meliodas is a lot better considering you can rush his ultimate fairly quickly and faster. Now, Lost Meliodas is a phenomenal, like I said, he's got, I want to say, the best ultimate in the game. If you get his ultimate off, I mean, realistically, if you have a 6/6, nothing's taking it. Literally nothing's taking it. It doesn't matter who you are, what you're made of. Nothing taken a Lost Fame Meliodas ultimate. Plus, he's got very good attack cards as well. AoE ignores defense, and then he has a single target gain ultimate gauge by 1 or 2 cards. So that's why I believe LV Meliodas is definitely deserving to be in that 4 slot. Okay, coming in at number 5. Now, like I said, it was super tough for me to pick, man. It was super tough for me to pick. Number 5, however, I'm gonna go with the boy Zarya. Zarya is a phenomenal crit unit. Now, this man, literally, when he came out, he broke the meta. Even though he is this phenomenal, you still do not see him on PvP that often. I don't know what the reason is. I guess because the one Escanor recently came out and he's being used less and less. But Zarya basically crits you and does insane damage. He's got a very good passive skill as well. He increases all goddess allies stats by 20%, which is, I mean, kind of crazy. He's got a 3 times sever chance on his ultimate. Guarantees you to crit every time. His ultimate KOs any unit in the game. It doesn't matter who you are, because he's gonna crit it unless you have a goddess shield up. Then yeah, goddess shield actually kind of cucks Zarya if she puts it up, because he can't crit with it. But regardless of that, I still think Zarya is one of the best units in the game, and he just claps up anybody, especially for him with Gother, Green Gother. Then Zarya becomes kind of insane. There's so many team comps with Zarya, Droll, and Gother you can run, and it just makes him kind of insane. Okay, next we have Tarmio. Yes, Tarmio is the next unit on the list. I believe he takes the number 6 spot. I was going between also Zarya and Tarmio, who's better. But realistically though, right, if you have Tarmio, Estros, and Green Gother, that team is almost impossible to beat. Otherwise, I mean, you can't really do anything against it, and it does kind of suck. He's got a drain skill as well, so he can drain up to 1, 2, or my bad, 1, 1, or 3 ultimate gauge. And then his ultimate basically relies on defense, so you gotta build your Tarmio up defensively, so you gotta run triple defense on him. He's got a card that if you throw it up, right, if you throw it up, you take 65% less damage for 3 turns. 65% less damage for 3 turns, and that's kind of broken, man. Trust me. If you run him, the Estros team, Tarmio is almost unbeatable. I want to say he's almost unbeatable. He's got a very good passive skill as well, which makes him absolutely bananas. So his passive is decreases all enemies HP by 200% of the hero's defense. And not only that, he has a grace. When the hero takes damage on enemy's turn, recover HP to 150% of defense at the start of his turn. That's why I told you guys, you gotta build this man defensively, and that's what I'm planning to do with my Tarmio. He is a phenomenal unit. Next, we have Red Derriere. The reason why I'm choosing Red Derriere as the next unit is because she is really good for PvP, and she's, I want to say, probably the best unit for PvE content. She can solo the whole story mode. She can solo a lot of the raids. She can solo a lot of stuff. She's got an insane card, which is this one right here. Basically increases her stats, right, by 30% or 20, 30, or 50% for 2 or 3 turns, while her rank 2 and rank 3 give her evasion for 1 turn. She has an amplify multiplier on her ultimate, basically 30% more damage per buff she has. She does millions and millions of damage. She has a card of a 600% multiplier, one of the highest multipliers in the game. And then her passive increases attack stats by 10% when the hero uses a card and the effect is removed when skills are not used. Now, she does have a weakness. If you petrify her or Escanor, Cruel Sun, or just remove her buffs or not be able to draw a card because of RNG, she kind of gets stopped and she kind of just resets. But overall, she is a phenomenal unit, especially for PvP or PvE content, and then she's also really good for PvP content, although you don't see her much or if at all anymore on PvP. As far as the next unit goes, I'm gonna go with the boy Luluco. Now, Luluco is a PvP whale unit. The reason why he is not higher on the list is because if you want to use Luluco, you have to absolutely whale him out. You have to 6-6 him. You have to get all his cosmetics, level up all his cosmetics to basically max with the cosmetic upgrades. You have to get him UR gear, HP defense, so he can out CC. Luluco is a CC monster, and the reason why people use him and the reason why he's on this list is because of his grace. Now, his grace is for 2 turns. If you out CC an opponent, if you have more CC than the opposing unit, he lowers their basic defensive stats by 40%. And lowering that, so that lowers the defensive stats, the crit defense stats, and it basically makes all your units crit 100% of the time. And you can make some crazy combos with Luluco, Escanor, Zeldris. There's so many crazy combos you can make with Luluco, especially if he's wailed out. But that's the thing, you have to wail him out. You have to give him all this stuff, and that's why he is not so high on the list. Plus, as far as it goes for PvE content, he's good, but there's better units. PvP, he's an absolute monster. But like I said, you gotta spend a ton of cash on him to be able to do that. I would say probably like $1,000 to be able to get him to be OP. He's got an insane ultimate with basically, if he ults, right, it's an AoE ultimate, and he gains shield upon the damage he does. So I believe it increases per ult level, and the higher ult level you have, the higher shield you receive after the ultimate damage occurs. Very, very good unit. Okay. Next, we have Red Zeldris. The reason why Red Zeldris is here because he is a staple on every commandment team. If you want to run a commandment team, you have to run Red Zeldris. Red Zeldris increases basic stats by 6% per every commandment on the field. So you can kind of just beef up your commandment team if you run Red Zeldris. Not to mention though, Red Zeldris is a phenomenal unit. He can drain ultimate gauge by 1 or 3, and also he can seal recovery skills for up to 2 turns. He's got an ultimate which can do some crazy damage, especially if it crits, because it's got spike. It's got 2 times crit damage increase. If he's 6'6", he can one-shot almost any unit. I mean, he doesn't have to be 6'6" to one-shot any unit. He can still one-shot any unit by having him 1'6", but I do think Red Zeldris is a staple on basically almost every commandment team you run in the game, and that's why he is so high up on the list. You can run a commandment team without Red Zeldris. Red Zeldris is used in so many teams in the game. The Zeldris and the Droll team, the Zeldris, Monsfeed, and Keo team. Zeldris can be ran on basically anything, or even in the back. He's also good for story mode if you don't have anybody better. He can be your drainer, he can be your hard hitter, he can be whatever you want him to be. Plus, yeah, Zeldris definitely deserves to be on the list. Okay, coming in last, listen, I was gonna put my boy Droll because, you know, Droll is my homie and all that kind of stuff, but I decided to go with Estros. Estros is making it into the number 10 spot because simply of his counter and debuff immunity. Now, he is used in one of the best teams in the game, that is the Estros, Tarmio, and Gother combo, which is almost unbeatable. I mean, not even the one Escanor can get through that combo because it is so good. He's got an insane counter, which basically, if he puts up a counter for 2 turns, you might as well just forfeit the game, because at that point, you're not winning any matches. He does a 600% damage back with his rank 3 counter, and you all the time run him with Green Gother. You guys hear how I've mentioned Green Gother as being ran on every team? That's why he's number 1 in the game, man. That's why he is number 1 in the game. He's got a very pesky commandment, which lowers your basic attack by 20%, which kind of sucks for 3 turns. Very, very kind of sucks. He's got a good passive skill, which basically grants him debuff immunity for 2 turns. So he puts up a counter, he puts up a taunt, he puts up debuff immunity. You can't petrify him, you can't do anything to him, you take damage back. He's got one of the highest multipliers on his attack card, 500. Well, it's not the highest, but it's pretty high. He does a lot of damage with it. And then his ultimate, if you put it up, for the next turn, your opponent cannot attack you, because if they do attack you, they take the counter back from the ultimate, and that's a GG. So yeah, Estros is a god in the tower. He is a god on PvP. He is a god on every PvE content, story mode. Overall, phenomenal unit. That's going to do it for my top 10 list. You guys saw I didn't mention a lot of units on this list. I mean, let's be real, right? Some of these units are like super hard to rank up because they're so good for specific stuff. For example, King is good for PvP, right? He's really good for PvP. But when I made this list, I kind of made it like, hey, this unit is good for PvP, Plus, also, he's good for PvE content. That's why it's a top 10 list. You can't just take one unit that's only good for PvP and then take him and then rank him in the top 10 because he's only good for PvP and not PvE content. King, for PvE, he probably is really good. He probably is really good, okay? But he just, I don't know, for some reason, he did not fit in the spot. So, 11, okay? And there's other units like that as well, like Kyo. Bro, there's so many. This list was super hard to make. Kyo's not a phenomenal unit. Demon Henrik's not a phenomenal unit. I mean, so many other really, really good units. Roll, my favorite boy, not even in the top 10, bro. Oh, it hurts, man. It hurts to make this list, but it had to be done. Let me know your top 10 list, whether it's global or JP, in the comment section below, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.